but I do want to move on to Stormy Daniels. That's right, folks. Stormy Daniels. As you recall, Michael Avenatti was convicted on all 3 counts in the Nike trial, and he's probably going to be going to jail for a long time. There's going to be an appeal, but it's not a good situation for Michael Avenatti. As you know, Stormy Daniels, he represented her, the $120,000 hush money payment that was made by Michael Cohen, one of the reasons why he's in federal prison right now. And it appears as though, and I think everyone would agree on this by now, is that Donald Trump had unprotected sex with Stormy Daniels just a couple months after his wife Melania had Barron, and kept it quiet. And then there was a hush money payment made a week before the elections. Completely disgusting, ridiculous behavior by Donald Trump. But this is what he's done for a very, very long time. He cheats on his women. He's a womanizer. He's a liar, a proven liar. And how Melania stays with this man is beyond me. And in fact, if you want to put Vegas odds on this one, I think within 2 years after Trump is out of office, I think Melania divorces him. It'll be his 3rd ex-wife. That's what I think is going to happen. But Stormy Daniels now did an interview with Inside Edition in her first comments, public comments, since Michael Avenatti was convicted in this Nike case. So she's asked in this interview how she felt about the conviction, and here's what she had to say.
Initial reaction was high five, yes. But then, honestly, like a couple months later, I just felt really sad because I guess deep down, maybe some part of me didn't want to believe all those terrible things about him.
So she was also asked if he's a good lawyer. Here's her comments on that.
The betrayal than the money. Somebody that I trusted looked me in the face every single day for a year and lied to me.
In your opinion, is Michael Avenatti a good lawyer? Is he a con man? Is he both?
He's actually not a good lawyer. I believed up until very recently that he was, but he's not. He made a terrible mess of paperwork, just basic filings and paperwork. I mean, he conned me. I don't know if he's a con man.
All right, so here's my comments on that. First of all,
well, I think she's definitely the authority. I think she has a good idea of what's a good lawyer and what's a bad lawyer. I think she's definitely the authority for a decision like that.
Yeah. All right, well, so here's my comments on that. First of all, the big con person in the room is Stormy Daniels. Here's why. Stormy Daniels had a story, and instead of doing the right thing and reporting this situation with the $120,000 payment, instead of doing that and doing the right thing, she calls herself a patriot. She didn't do that. She didn't go to the DOJ. She didn't report it to anybody. She tried to sell her story. She tried to make money off of this story. And the only reason, and I mean the only reason, besides Donald Trump, having sex with her, the only reason why people are now spending a lot of money on Stormy Daniels' pornography, the only reason why she's making 5 times more money making appearances at these strip clubs, the only reason why she's making a lot more money in her films is because of Michael Avenatti. So she can say all day that he's a bad lawyer, and she could say all day, that he's a convicted felon. But the bottom line is, when he made all those appearances, it helped her career. The hundreds of appearances that he made on national networks helped her because it raised her profile as an adult film star. And the proof is in the pudding, folks. Why is she making more money now than she did before Michael Avenatti made all these appearances? Because it pushed her career. It helped her career. I don't know exactly what went on in this Nike case. We've talked about it ad nauseum. He's a convicted felon now. It's a horrible situation for him. But what I do know is before this Nike case, he made over $1 billion in settlements. That is what I would call a pretty successful attorney. Now, he'll probably never be an attorney again because he's a convicted felon. But for Stormy Daniels to complain and for Stormy Daniels to talk about betrayal when all she paid him was a $100 retainer fee, as far as what we know, is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. This is a woman who is making 3 to 4 times more money now than when she did before Michael Avenatti represented her. This is a woman who took advantage of the fact that she had unprotected sex, which, I question her for that motive, number one, to begin with anyway, with Donald Trump, and tried to sell her story, yet she calls herself a patriot. Stormy Daniels is no patriot. In fact, she's the opposite of a patriot. She's a sellout because she tried to sell her story instead of doing the right thing. Stormy Daniels has zero, and I mean zero, credibility. None in this situation. She doesn't know what a good attorney is. She has no idea what she's talking about. She thinks that, regardless of whether Michael Avenatti wanted to do all these appearances to help his own career, there's no question it helped her career. There's no question.
Well,
you can't even debate that.
Had she made those appearances herself, they would have stopped it too.
Mm-hmm.
Because she isn't in my opinion, a very intelligent woman. She doesn't have a lot of substance. She's not going to talk about. I mean, she'll mention the Trump story one time, and then she'll put herself in a situation where she'll say something that would hurt her case against Donald Trump because she signed a non-disclosure agreement in the first place. But she's kind of biting the hand that feeds her. Michael Avenatti is why I know who Stormy Daniels is. Michael Avenatti is why probably 90% of the country, who again is not a porn enthusiast, knows who Stormy Daniels is. And the fact that she isn't giving him recognition for that, and the fact that he's been involved in high-profile cases before her. He represented Paris Hilton. He's gone after Donald Trump on multiple occasions. And again, he had $1 billion in legal settlements or in legal winnings over the course of his career. So obviously he's a very, very successful attorney and clearly a good attorney. What he might be is a very good attorney who also knows how to get interesting with paperwork, and that could have happened. And we'll see if that's what took place. But this Nike extortion getting convicted of all 3 counts of Nike extortion, I'm not sure that is going to stand up. I think the appeal is actually going to come up roses for Michael Avenatti.
So the number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation, what do you think about Stormy Daniels, her comments about Michael Avenatti? The number 702-257-5396. Stormy says, my initial reaction was a high five. That's just a weird reaction to a guy that's going to probably go away that has a family. I didn't have a high five reaction today when I heard Roger Stone was going away. I didn't have a high five reaction when I heard that Michael Cohen was going away or Paul Manafort was going away. There are families involved here. I didn't have a high five reaction. Stormy, like I said, I don't think she has any credibility at all. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. Let's take some phone calls. Let's go to Brady. Brady, you're first up in the Vegas take. What's going on?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Brian, I just don't know how much you can criticize the president, and it's none of your damn business who the president sleeps with. You're nobody's god that can overlook the president. Get off the story.
So, Brady, can I ask you a question, Brady? Did you have the same feeling when Bill Clinton received oral sex from Monica Lewinsky?
None of my business, dumbass.
So okay, if you're going to call me names, I'm going to hang up on you. But I asked you a very specific question. Were you defending Bill Clinton when Bill Clinton received oral sex from Monica Lewinsky? Were you preaching to high heaven to all the Republicans? It's none of your damn business. It's a yes or no question.
I don't care what Monica did with Bill. I don't give a crap.
So what would you say to the Republicans for years that have gone after Bill Clinton and his womanizing? What would be your message to all the Republicans?
I don't care again. It's none of my business. That's somebody's.
So why did he get impeached then? So why did he get impeached?
People on the media don't need to be involved with people's lives.
Excuse me. So why did he get impeached? Why did he get impeached?
Michael Avenatti. Look what
why don't you answer? Okay, Brady. Brady, let's try to focus. Brady, let's try.
He's a crook.
Brady, let's try to focus and have a conversation here. You're all over the place. I just asked you. You said that it's none of our business. It's nobody's business what the president does with his sexual activities. So, Mike.
Exactly.
Okay. So again, I'm going to ask you the question because you didn't really answer it. What would be your message to all the Republicans out there, and I mean all of them, that went after Bill Clinton, that tried to get him removed from office because he had received oral sex from one of his interns? Talk to the Republicans now. Don't talk to me. To all the Republicans out there, and by the way, some of the people that do radio shows on this station, the national shows I'm talking about, the hosts who continue to go after Bill Clinton and make fun of him for his sexcapades. I want you to talk to all the Republicans out there now, Brady. What would be your message to them that go after Bill Clinton because of the sex?
Isn't it time to get over Bill Clinton, Brian?
I
How
asked.
many years now?
I didn't say talk. I don't talk.
We need to
No, this is Brady.
and the Pocahontas.
Let me try to talk to. Let me try to talk to Brady again.
This is just whataboutism. That's all this is.
Brady, let me just try to talk to Brady again because for the third time he's not answering.
Just humor his whataboutism.
The third time he's not answering my question, and it's not whataboutism.
Of course it is.
It's
the definition of whataboutism.
He's talking about.
You're saying what about Bill Clinton?
He's talking about Donald Trump's sexcapades, and that even if it broke campaign finance law. By the way, Bill Clinton did not break campaign finance law. The proof is in the pudding. If you give hush money payment to somebody to keep quiet, literally a week before the elections, that could be breaking campaign finance law, Brady. So it's not just about someone's personal sex life. Now, I'm going to ask you one more time because you're talking to me and you're attacking me, but you're not talking about your Republican friends. So I will give you one more opportunity to do so since you say you're going to be consistent on your opinion. What would you say to the Sean Hannitys, the Mark Levins of the world, the right-wing conservative talk shows, the Laura Ingrams, the Tucker Carlsons, who on a weekly basis at one point or another bring up Bill Clinton and talk about his sexcapades? I want you to talk to them now, Brady. Talk to the Republicans out there that constantly mock Bill Clinton for cheating. And by the way, at the debate in 2016, it was Donald Trump, your buddy, who had all the women in there that allegedly had sexual relations with Bill Clinton. Would you have a message to Donald Trump? It's none of his business. Would you be consistent with that?
Okay, to all the Republicans out there, do not listen to Bill Clinton or go after Bill Clinton. We don't care. Let's concentrate on dildo crackhead Hunter.
What? What do you get rid of this guy? Get rid of this guy. You have an IQ of about 20, Brady. I can only take so much of you. 702-257-5396.
Dildo crackhead Hunter Biden, huh?
Let me give out that number again.
That's a new one, Brady.
702-257-5396 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. I got him to criticize Republicans. That's difficult to do to a right-wing nut like that. Again, the number to call 702-257-5396. Let's go to Jake. Jake, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Jake.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Hey,
Good.
Going okay.
I don't think that President Clinton should have been impeached for what he did, because what it did was it turned an entire country upside down because of it was wrong. It was an indiscretion. He shouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm. No,
it's not worth turning our country upside down for. And I'm not a Democrat, obviously.
The issue is he was in a position of power. She worked basically for him as a White House staffer, and then he lied under oath.
Well, here's the bigger issue.
So
then
they should, if she had a problem with it, then she could have sued him for sexual harassment.
Okay, but Jake, I hear what you're saying, but here's the issue, and JD just said it at the end of his statement. Bill Clinton lied under oath. You can't do that. I'm sure.
Yeah, but what are you going to say when you're the most powerful man in the world? Yeah, I messed her dress up too. You're not. I don't blame him. It's not right. I'm not trying to condone it.
Well, you can't lie under oath.
You're gonna go. I know.
You can't lie under oath.
Do you really think he should have been questioned about it under oath? I think it could have been.
Well, let me try to. Jake, that's a fair question. Let me try to be as fair as I can with my answer. And I'm going to hold the presidency to a high standard, and I'm going to be fair on this one. I think when you're the president of the United States, it's your job not to embarrass the country. When you're out of office and you want to cheat on your wife, while I don't condone that, that's your personal business. But when you are a political figure, whether you're an elected official as a mayor or in this case the president of the United States, it is your duty to not embarrass the country. Now, not only did Bill Clinton cheat on Hillary Clinton, but he did it in the Oval Office with one of his interns. You want to talk about an embarrassment to the country. And look, I like Bill Clinton. I thought he was a really good president. He's one of my favorite presidents. But when it comes to this specific issue, he embarrassed the country.
Yeah, one of the best bipartisan presidents in the last 50 years. Now, but who did worse though, JFK or Bill Clinton? I mean, JFK constantly cheated on his wife with everybody for years and years.
Right. But it never got broadcasted to the world the way it did when Clinton did his thing.
But Jake, you get my point. I
do. I agree with you. He's a fool. But at the same time, who looked foolish? Just him or the whole country?
Well, let's say in the Me Too generation, let's say this happens with Trump, and Trump ends up, having getting oral sex from one of his interns in the Oval Office. What happens in this Me Too era, and then lies about it on stand? I think he's absolutely impeached by both parties and removed from office under the same circumstances.
I don't know. I just think that a lot of the Me Too people, and Harvey Weinstein should be in the same cell as Bill Cosby, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I agree with that.
At the same time, there were a whole lot of women that prostituted themselves for movie parts, and then decided later it wasn't a good thing to do. And I'm sure,
and that's why his case is getting murky.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who I'm sure he did what they said he did, but there are also plenty of them that got what they wanted and then afterwards said, hey, look, I can get a little more now and I don't have to sleep.
But there's all situations where Harvey Weinstein actually promised women parts and then didn't follow through with them, and that's really where he got caught up.
Jake, I appreciate the phone call. You made you made some valid points there, but I'll say this. There are different levels of embarrassing the country. I think it is one level when you get an intern to perform oral sex on you in the Oval Office. I think and lie about it. I think it's another level when you commit campaign finance violations or in the latest example, withhold aid for personal political gain. And I find that to be a lot more serious than sex. They're both wrong. But, yes, I do believe that the president should have been thrown out of office for what he did. And many of the Republicans believe that he's guilty, but yet they wouldn't vote guilty, which I find extremely troubling. And these are the same Republicans that, voted Bill Clinton out.
Well, you can read
Hypocrites.
You can read chapter 14 of John Bolton's book, because apparently he explains exactly what happened. That was John Bolton's response a couple days ago. Yeah, read chapter 14 of my book.
Well, you could also
buy his book, give him some money.
Hold on.
For what may or may not be true.
Okay, but
and read the chapter and then read it a couple of times and then say, God, you know what? Donald Trump, he shouldn't be president of the United States.
You know what else you can read?
Feel great about yourself after that.
You know what else you could read? I'll tell you what else you can read. You can read the statements that several Republicans made, admitting that what Donald Trump did was he was guilty. He was guilty of withholding aid for personal gain. Yet they weren't willing to vote him guilty, but they said in statements. You know who said that?
And then the question is,
who said
was that an impeachable offense?
You know who said that? Rubio said it. Alexander said it. Romney voted guilty. Many of the Republicans admit that what the president did was not a perfect phone call, that it was wrong.
One Republican voted guilty, Mitt Romney.
And other Republicans have said...
And his political career is likely over now.
And that's sad to hear that. When you vote your conscience in this day and age and your political career is over because of doing that, it's a sad joke in society today. And these idiots on TV like Laura Ingraham who want to chastise Mitt Romney for doing that,
it doesn't help that he represents a state that's probably 97% Republican.
And I guarantee you he will win again in 4.5 years, and I will make you a bet on that he will win because he is very well liked there. And yes, the extreme right doesn't like him. Anybody who goes after, the president of the United States, right or wrong, we're going to go after you. That's the Donald Trump mentality.
What are our odds, Brian?
Odds on what? What are you talking about?
On Mitt winning again in 4.5 years.
I'm not going to put odds on it. We could bet a dinner or something, but I'm just telling you, I believe he will be reelected. I absolutely believe that. I believe he'll be reelected. And, going back to a little bit of what we were talking about earlier in regards to Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti, the people on the right, the people that have been against Michael Avenatti the most, the people that have spoken out, like the Meghan McCains, who has zero credibility. My daddy. That's all Meghan McCain talks about. Those people that are really blasting Michael Avenatti are the ones that are Republicans that support Donald Trump. And, you don't hear, have you heard Meghan McCain blast Paul Manafort and Michael Cohen? No.
Or they've never dealt with Michael Avenatti on a personal level, or they're just listening to what the media is telling them. Or they're being forced, or they're being paid to say whatever they have to say. But very very few people have the type of interpersonal communication relationship that you and I have with Michael Avenatti.
I haven't had a personal relationship with Michael Cohen. I haven't had a personal relationship with Paul Manafort. You haven't heard me blasting him every day since he's been convicted.
They aren't relevant. No one's talking about them. That's why.
Not true.
That's why
true.
Meghan McCain's. I'm sure if Meghan McCain was in a situation where the topic for whatever reason was Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort, that she would definitely blast them.
I disagree with you. She didn't blast Paul Manafort. She doesn't blast Republicans on a regular basis. She blasts Democrats because she is a partisan hack. Sadly, like many people on TV are, whether it be Fox News or CNN or MSNBC. And the fact that anybody on CNN would apologize for having Michael Avenatti on is ridiculous. It is absurd, and I defend it to this day. Yes, right now he is a convicted felon. He is in El Chapo's jail cell in solitary confinement, and I don't believe he deserves that. He was convicted. He's a felon. Should he be in solitary confinement, being treated like a terrorist? No, it's ridiculous. Just as I would say about Michael Cohen, who committed white-collar crimes. Should Michael Cohen be in solitary confinement? No, and he's not. Michael Cohen is in a federal prison, a minimum security federal prison. That's where Michael Avenatti belongs, because this is white-collar crime. And I would say the same thing about Paul Manafort. I don't think Paul Manafort should be treated like a terrorist. The reason why Paul Manafort was in that same jail, and the reason it's because he was Donald Trump's campaign manager. He probably wouldn't be in jail now if not for that. Same reason why, in my personal opinion, Avenatti is in jail.
And that has nothing to do with Trump. That has everything to do with...
What do you mean it has nothing to do with Trump?
Trump didn't want him to go to jail.
I didn't say he did.
Okay, exactly.
That's not the point. So you're totally missing the point I'm making.
No, they made an example of you, just like they made an example of Avenatti. I think Avenatti is kind of collateral damage to the fact that two people close to Trump, Cohen and Manafort, ended up in that exact situation, especially Manafort being at Rikers Island. I think that Manafort being at Rikers Island is one of the reasons why Avenatti's at MCC and El Chapo's cell.
Obviously,
I think there's a correlation there.
You're missing what I'm
I
saying.
think it's an eye for an eye type of thing on behalf of Trump.
But you're missing what I'm saying. I didn't say that Trump wanted Manafort in prison. What I'm saying is if Paul Manafort wasn't Donald Trump's campaign manager, he wouldn't be in prison.
Of course.
It made him a high-profile person.
It did. It made him a legitimate target.
It raised his profile.
Of course.
Michael Avenatti was a very successful attorney before Stormy Daniels, but it made him extremely high-profile, probably at that time the most recognizable attorney on the planet.
And is it possible that Michael Avenatti had a bunch of mounting debt and he saw a couple of opportunities like this Nike situation and Stormy Daniels to put himself in not only a public platform, and maybe he saw a political future for himself, but that he definitely saw some ways to make a bunch of money to cover up his debts? That's very possible. But that isn't illegal.
Yeah.
That isn't illegal to be an opportunist based on your own personal situation or your own personal plight, and then to take advantage. And again, if Michael Avenatti didn't take Stormy Daniels' case, I would have no idea who she is. I wouldn't care who she is, and 95% of the country would say the exact same thing.
Yeah, and Donald Trump probably wouldn't have called her horseface either. Or didn't Bloomberg call somebody a horseface lesbian? Boy, they use the same verbiage, don't they?
Something. Bloomberg is a real elitist. I mean, he is a top-of-the-line elitist. He is not likable. He doesn't have charisma. He doesn't hold a candle to Trump, in my opinion.
All right, well, fair
But he
enough.
does have $65 billion. And you know what? The name Bloomberg, what he just did, being as into the news as he has been. Because when you have that much money, do you care if people think about you? Of course not. But the last 2 months, his name is being out there as much as it has been. It's been so good for his brands, especially for Bloomberg News.
Let's try to sneak in one more quick phone call. I got about 30 seconds for you, Al. Thanks for calling in. What's going on,
Hey,
man?
what's up, Al?
Hey, good morning, guys. I just want to know if you could name one person who's in jail for Russian collusion. You like to rattle off all the names of all the guys that have been in jail or convicted, associated to Trump. Just one person who's been put in jail for Russian collusion.
Can I name one person? Well, Assange. Assange was definitely releasing information. He's in jail right now.
Okay, and he is in jail for Russian collusion?
I didn't say it was
in jail because he's a pedophile and a rapist and has been hiding out, fighting extradition for the last.
nobody. As far as I know, nobody in Russia has been held accountable legally for what took place.
Okay,
but that has a lot to do with Vladimir
Who
Putin.
in Donald Trump's orbit, associated with him or his campaign, has been convicted?
I'll answer that.
Been found guilty.
We're up against a hard break. I think you're colluding with our show because you called with about 30 seconds before we had to go to break. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. This is the Vegas Take.